Hello, fundraising friends. I'm Susan Black, owner of Allene Professional Fundraising and author of Help, They Want Me to Fundraise. Welcome to the inaugural episode of my new video blog. My goal in this episode is to bring you additional thoughts and insights that will help you get the most out of my book. But instead of just hearing from me, you're going to hear from friends of mine who have been doing this fundraising thing for a long time and who have great stories and advice to share. You're definitely going to hear stories from the trenches about how you can improve your fundraising success. So our first guest is Laurie Lathan, and Laurie is the Executive Director of Columbus Children's Theater. So first of all, I want to welcome Laurie.
Hi.
Hi, Laurie. Thank you so much for doing this today. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
It'll be fun. Okay. Well, Laurie's basically my guinea pig. She's helping me. And the first thing I want to do, Laurie, is have you tell me a little bit about Columbus Children's Theater and about your role.
Okay. Well, Columbus Children's Theater is now in its 51st year of serving Central Ohio families and children through 3 core programs. We have our theater series of shows that we do. We have an academy, theatrical academy that operates all year round. And we also have a professional touring company that goes and travels throughout Ohio bringing live theater and workshops to schools.
Wonderful. Okay. And you are the executive director. So tell me a little bit about what your primary role is.
My primary role is to oversee the organization operational-wise and then also work with the board to ensure that the mission of the organization is carried out.
Okay, so who reports to you then?
The folks that report to me are the artistic director and the business director, development director, and education director.
Okay, so you have 3 or 4 people that report to you, and then you report to the board. But you also have, you said your development director reports to you?
Yes.
Then directly as well? Okay. So one of the reasons that I wanted to ask Laurie to be on the first vlog is because she has sat in both seats. Prior to being an executive director, she was also a development director for years.
A couple decades.
Yes, right. A while. Yes, in various capacities, mostly here in Central Ohio? Okay, that's what I thought.
Actually, yeah.
All right. So the first thing I want to ask you, Laurie, is what do you think development directors don't realize about the executive director's job and vice versa?
Okay. Well, I think that a lot of development directors don't realize the executive director's time needs to be spent, obviously, a lot of it in development. However, they have so many other responsibilities of overseeing their organizations and ensuring that everything else programmatically is running smoothly, as well as financially.
Yeah. So it seems like, in my experience working with CEOs and executive directors, they have a lot of competing factors that are affecting their decision making. And sometimes a development director might say, you know, I don't understand why this is not a priority for you or why you want to make this decision. And it's really because the executive director has maybe a board chair, some other funders, whether those are public or private, or some other programmatic issue that's affecting their decision. Have you had any experience like that where you had to
yes,
make a decision that was unpopular?
Yeah, quite often actually, more so than what you would imagine, just because, you know, things happen. You plan the best that you can, but there's things that unexpectedly happen that you have to address and that you get pulled away from. Obviously a development call or something else.
Right. Now, what do you think it is that executive directors maybe don't realize about development directors and their job?
Yeah, I think that's interesting, and I think for the few of us that have been in my situation where we were development directors and became executive directors, is that we have this understanding of what it is like to be a development director and how you know incredibly high pressured it is. You know, you're really expected to raise this money, but we understand that it takes time. We understand the process, so we have a better understanding of time management with development directors of how quickly or not so quickly they can turn things around.
Right. I think sometimes, you know, executive directors are really have a pressure to conform to that budget year, to that fiscal year, and they're really looking at, you know, when is the money going to come in this year, versus the development director's position, their experiences. It takes maybe a year or two just to get the call, just get the meeting, before we can have a gift come in, and those things are not on a fiscal year. We can't push those things to happen necessarily.
Exactly. And I think that's the big difference between the two positions, because the executive director is there to convey the needs of the organization.
Right.
And the development director has to understand those needs, but also has to understand the donor's desires.
Right.
And being able to make that linkage between their desires and the needs of the organization. And sometimes that's why I think executive directors and development directors can be on opposing teams.
Yeah. What do you think would make that relationship better when the executive director is so strapped and pushed to keep within a fiscal year, and the development director needs more flexibility? What do you think helps that relationship?
I think two key things: communication, being able to have a conversation about what's going on, and then also a sense of humor. You really have to, because it is serious business, but yet you have to be able to laugh at yourselves and not take yourselves too seriously.
Right, right. I think sometimes too, what I remember also when I was a development director is, if I thought something was going to happen and it looked like it was not going to happen, to go on in and say to the CEO, to the executive director, I just need you to know this is not going the way I thought it was going to go. And instead of it being, oh my gosh, why didn't this happen? It's like, okay, well, what can we do? How can we fix that problem, or how can we address that problem, or where else can we look? Versus it being something that just is allowed to happen, and then it's worse. If the CEO or executive director doesn't know.
Right, exactly. What you just explained was having a development director that feels okay and confident enough in their relationship with their executive director to be able to go in and say that. And say that. And so that's why I think the relationship, there's probably no more critical staff-to-staff relationship, I think, than between the executive director and development director. Yeah. Sort of like the serious connectedness between a board chair and executive director. It's really a critical relationship in the organization, whether the organization's effective moving forward or not.
Yeah, that is really true. What's your very best fundraising advice? What one thing have you seen that made a big difference in your fundraising results?
Oh my goodness. I would just have to say the consistency and the follow through with fundraising development in general is critical. Just because development's a process, right? So you have to consistently be cultivating, stewarding, soliciting. Just this constant follow-up is critical to the success of fundraising.
Yeah, that's so true. I've been in some programs where we implemented, a program that allowed us to really get a lot of new folks involved, but the follow-up was always the thing that killed us. It was making that second phone call, or that third phone call, or that, making sure that everybody is getting that consistent communication.
Yeah, exactly. Because what I've found in how many years I've been in working for nonprofits, we've never had a shortage for ideas. Columbus in general, just the organizations that were great idea generators. It's just how do you prioritize those and act on them, and then follow through and get things done and measure the success. Make sure you're measuring the success.
That's important too. Yeah. Well, Laurie, thank you so much for talking with me today. This has been a lot of fun, and I am looking forward to your comments and suggestions. What did you have to say? What do you have to say about what Laurie was suggesting about that relationship between the executive director and the development director? What are you doing that is helping strengthen that relationship? Respond in the comments or on my blog at my website, www.allenefundraising.com. Be sure to share your experience and ask questions, and we'll hope to address those in future episodes. Thank you so much for watching. For more resources like this one, be sure to check out my book, Help, They Want Me to Fundraise, available at these locations. And follow me on Twitter at Susan Black, CFRE. See you soon.